you scroll through your phone, don't you? You see those majestic ones with the perfectly styled living rooms, the impossibly serene bedrooms, the kitchens that look like they've never seen a dirty dish? There's a certain light, a certain feeling to them. It's a look of effortless elegance, a space that feels calm, collected, and expensive. You get a surge of inspiration. You think, my house can feel like that. You head to the store, you buy a few new things, maybe a plant, a new set of pillows. You spend your Saturday rearranging the furniture, hanging a picture, and when you're done, you step back, and it's just not the same. The magic isn't there. That feeling of frustration starts to creep in. Why does your home, filled with things you love, still feel a little bit cheap? What is the missing ingredient? I'm going to tell you a secret. That high-end, luxurious feeling has almost nothing to do with a high-end budget. It's not about owning designer furniture or original art. It's about understanding the subtle language of design, a language built on proportion, scale, and light. And the fastest way to learn that language is by first unlearning the common mistakes that are secretly sabotaging your home's potential. These are the things that interior designers see instantly. The small but powerful errors that cheapen a space regardless of how much you've spent. We're talking about simple habits, things you might have done without a second thought because they seemed illogical at the time. But these habits are shrinking your rooms, they're making your ceilings feel lower, they're creating visual chaos, and they're preventing your home from looking as beautiful as it could. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on these decorating blunders. We're going to identify 7 key mistakes that you are probably making right now. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the simple, actionable fixes that will instantly elevate your space. This isn't about going out and buying all new things. This is about working with what you have and making small, strategic adjustments that create an enormous impact. Think of it as learning the cheat codes for interior design. By the end of this, you'll be able to walk into any room in your house, spot the issue, and know exactly what to do to fix it. So get ready to take some notes. We're about to transform your home from feeling random and thrown together to looking intentional, cohesive, and incredibly chic. You absolutely deserve to live in a home that you love, a space that feels like a sanctuary, and I'm going to show you exactly how to get there. All right, let's get into the next set of mistakes. And this next one is a trap that is so easy to fall into because stores are literally designed to make you do it. We're talking about the machi furniture faux pas. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You walk into a big furniture showroom, and there it is. The perfectly coordinated living room set, the 3-seater sofa, the matching love seat, the identical armchair, all upholstered in the exact same beige fabric, sold with a matching coffee table and 2 end tables from the very same collection. It seems like the perfect solution, doesn't it? It's a shortcut. It takes all the guesswork out of decorating. But here's the harsh truth. While it's easy, it's also the design equivalent of a pre-packaged meal. It lacks soul, it lacks personality, and it instantly makes your home look like a generic, uninspired furniture store display. A room where everything matches perfectly tells a story of a single transaction, not a life. It has no depth, no character, no visual interest. A truly expensive-looking room feels curated, as if its contents were thoughtfully collected over time. So, how do you fix it if you've already bought the set? You break it up. This doesn't mean you have to get rid of everything. Keep the piece you love the most, probably the sofa. Then, sell or move the matching love seat or armchair to another room. In their place, bring in chairs that are different. Think contrast. If your sofa is a solid, neutral fabric, get 2 armchairs in a rich leather, a plush velvet, or even a subtle pattern. The key is to mix textures and materials. That contrast is what creates visual richness. And for the tables, get rid of the matching set. Pair your fabric sofa with a warm wood coffee table and maybe a sleek metal end table. This interplay of different materials, the soft, the hard, the rustic, the refined, is what gives a room a layered, sophisticated, and custom feel. Your home should reflect you, not a page from a catalog. Now, let's talk about your walls. They are the biggest canvas in your home, but so many people don't know what to do with them. This leads to the art fiasco, hanging pieces that are way too small for the wall, and hanging them way too high. It's what I call floating art syndrome, a sad, lonely, 8x10 frame floating in a sea of beige drywall, halfway to the ceiling. It makes the art look timid and insignificant, and it makes the wall look vast and barren. It throws off the proportion of the entire room. Here are the 2 rules you must burn into your brain. Rule 1, art hangs at eye level, period. The center of the piece, or the center of the grouping, should be approximately 57 to 60 inches from the floor. This is the standard height used in galleries and museums for a reason. It connects the art to the human scale. It feels balanced and intentional. Rule 2, scale is everything. If you have a large blank wall, you need a large statement piece of art to anchor it. One big piece looks infinitely more confident and high-end than a scattering of tiny frames. If large-scale art isn't in your budget, then create it. Group smaller pieces together into a cohesive gallery wall. Plan it out on the floor first. Find a layout you love, and then transfer it to the wall. And when you hang art over a piece of furniture, like a sofa or a console table, it needs to relate to it. It should be hung low enough to feel connected, about 6 to 8 inches above the furniture, and it should be about 2/3 the width of the piece below it. Following these rules will make your walls look purposeful, powerful, and professionally styled. It will transform them from a sad afterthought into a stunning focal point. Your art deserves to be seen, and your walls deserve to be celebrated. And for our final 2 points, let's talk about the more subtle, atmospheric mistakes that separate a cheap-feeling space from an expensive one. First up, we have the lifeless space. This is a room that, on paper, has everything it needs: a sofa, a table, a rug, but it feels cold, sterile, and unwelcoming. It feels like a waiting room. This happens when a space is devoid of any natural, organic elements. A room composed entirely of synthetic materials like polyester, plastic, and particle board, with no connection to the natural world, will always feel a little bit soulless. Our brains are hardwired to seek out connections to nature. It's a concept called biophilia. A lack of it in our environment can make us feel subtly uneasy and disconnected. A truly luxurious space feels alive, and the easiest way to breathe life into your home is to literally bring life into it. I'm talking about plants. A beautiful green plant in the corner of a room or a small succulent on a bookshelf is the fastest way to add color, texture, and vitality. It shows that the space is cared for. And if you're convinced you have a black thumb, today's faux plants are incredibly realistic and offer the same visual benefit without the watering schedule. But it doesn't stop at plants. You need to incorporate other natural materials. Swap out a plastic decor item for a beautiful wooden bowl. Drape a real wool or cotton. Throw over your polyester sofa. Place your items on a natural wood or marble tray. These organic textures, the grain of wood, the weave of linen, the veining in stone, add a layer of tactile and visual richness that synthetic materials can never replicate. They ground the space and give it a sense of authenticity and calm. That is the very definition of luxury. Finally, let's tackle the most obvious and yet most difficult habit to break: the clutter catastrophe. And I want to be clear here. I am not talking about mess. Mess is a temporary state of affairs. It's the dishes from dinner or the toys your kids were just playing with. Clutter is different. Clutter is the mountain of mail on your kitchen counter, the tangle of charging cords and random electronics on your end table, the pile of things on your dresser that have no real home. Clutter is a collection of delayed decisions. Every item of clutter is a visual loose end, and it constantly sends a low-grade signal of stress to your brain that your work is never done. Nothing makes a home feel cheaper or more chaotic than being filled with visual noise. A space that is clear, organized, and edited feels calm, controlled, and valuable. The solution isn't just a weekend cleaning frenzy. It's creating systems. Every object in your home needs a home. Hide your clutter in plain sight. Use beautiful, decorative boxers on your bookshelves to conceal odds and ends. Invest in a stylish basket to serve as a drop zone for mail that you sort through once a day. Get a cable management box to hide that ugly power strip and its tangled mess of cords. The goal is to create surfaces of visual quiet. Your coffee table, your nightstand, your kitchen counters, these are prime real estate. When they are clear of clutter and styled with just a few intentional items: a lamp, a plant, a tray, the entire room feels more breathable and expensive. Taming clutter is not just about cleaning, it's about curating your life. It's about deciding what is important enough to deserve your space and your visual attention. It is the ultimate form of respecting your home and yourself. By addressing these mistakes, you're doing more than just redecorating. You are fundamentally changing your relationship with your environment, transforming it from a source of stress into a source of peace, pride, and profound comfort. Let's dive right in with the first offense, and I can almost guarantee you are guilty of this one. It's happening in your living room, your bedroom, everywhere you have a window. We're talking about your curtains. You've committed the ultimate curtain crime. You went to the store, you bought a standard curtain rod, and you hung it just a couple of inches wider than the window frame and right above it. It makes sense. That's where the window is. That's where the curtains should go. Wrong. This is single-handedly the most common mistake that makes a room feel stunted and cheap. When you hang your curtains low and narrow, you are essentially choking your window. You block a massive amount of natural light, which is the most luxurious feature any room can have. But worse, you visually lower the ceiling height. Your eye is drawn to the top line of the curtain rod, and if that line is low, the entire room feels compressed and small, like it's wearing a very low-brimmed hat. The fix is so simple, but the result is breathtaking. You need to hang your curtains high and wide. Take that curtain rod and move it up. As a rule of thumb, you should mount it about halfway between the top of the window frame and the ceiling. If you have standard 8-foot ceilings, that's usually about 4 to 6 inches above the frame. If you have higher ceilings, go higher. Then, extend the rod so it's at least 6 to 10 inches wider than the window on each side. The goal is that when the curtains are fully open, the fabric panels are resting over the wall, not over the glass. You're framing the view, not hiding it. And please, make sure your curtains are long enough to just kiss the floor. Curtains that are too short look like pants that don't fit. It's an awkward, unfinished look that screams cheap. This single change will draw the eye upward, create the illusion of soaring ceilings and huge windows, and will flood your room with light. It's architectural drama without calling a contractor. Next, let's talk about what's on your floor. Specifically, your area rug. I see it all the time. A beautiful sofa, a couple of nice chairs, a coffee table, and then a tiny little rug, floating in the middle of it all, like a bath mat that got lost. This is the rug island, and it makes everything in the room look unanchored and cheap. It visually breaks the space into disconnected pieces instead of creating a unified whole. A small rug makes your furniture look like it's all shrinking, away from each other in a middle school dance. It fails at its one job, to define and ground a conversational area. Here is the non-negotiable rule. Your rug must be big enough to connect your main furniture pieces. At the absolute bare minimum, the front two legs of your sofa and any accent chairs must be sitting comfortably on the rug. This physically and visually ties everything together, creating a cohesive zone. In a perfect world, all your furniture, in that grouping, would sit entirely on the rug. It makes the room feel so much larger, more stable, and more luxurious. If a huge rug is out of your budget, here's a designer trick. Buy a large, inexpensive natural fiber rug, like a jute or, say, sole, to define the space. Then, layer a smaller plusher, more decorative rug on top of it. You get the scale you need and the texture you want. Finally, let's talk about a mistake that kills the entire mood of a home. Bad lighting. You walk into a room, you flip a switch, and bam. A single harsh overhead light floods the room from the center of the ceiling. We call this the big light, and it's a vibe killer. It casts unflattering shadows, creates a glare, and makes a space feel flat, sterile, and more like a doctor's office than a home. Relying on one light source is the decorating equivalent of a TV dinner. It gets the job done, but there's no joy in it. A high-end space feels warm and inviting because it uses a technique called layered lighting. You need to think of your lighting in 3 layers. The first is ambient light. That's your overhead fixture, but it should be on a dimmer. A dimmer switch is the best $10 investment you can make for your home. The second layer is task lighting, floor lamps next to a chair for reading, or under cabinet lights in the kitchen for chopping. The third, and most important for vibe, is accent lighting. These are your table lamps on sideboards and end tables. Picture lights over art, even candles. The goal is to create multiple pools of soft, warm light around the room, at different heights. This eliminates harsh shadows, creates depth and intimacy, and makes everyone look better. Turn off the big light and use your lamps. You'll be amazed at how a room can transform from a stark box into a warm, cozy, and expensive feeling retreat.